There we go. All right, everyone, welcome. This is the Heavy Period Solutions Masterclass. We're going to get started in just a moment. So you can come on into the room, get yourself comfortable. Maybe you've got your lunch, a tea perhaps. What I would love for you to do is open up the chat box. On the bottom of your screen, there should be a little Zoom ribbon with a little text box. That's your chat box. If you could open up the chat and type your name in there, let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know that you can hear and see me okay. Because that's really important. If you can't hear me or see me, that's a little bit problematic, more so if you can't hear me. So if you could just go ahead, open up that chat box, just type yes, let me know that you can hear me okay. That would be fabulous. And then we will get started. And just by the way, that chat box, if at any point today, thank you, Joanna. It's waiting for someone to be the first. There's always that brave soul that steps up to the plate and types that yes into the chat. So I appreciate that, Joanna. Thank you. So you can hear me. That is wonderful. So I just completely lost my train of thought. Oh, the chat box. If you have any questions, as we're going along today, type them into the chat box. Do not use the Q&A feature. I can't look in all of the million places. Everything is going to go into the chat box, okay? And you have the option in the chat box. I don't think I've ever said this before. You have the option in the chat box to send a message privately. So you can just send it to me, or you can send it and everybody can see it. So if there's something that you're wanting to ask that you want an answer to, but you don't want your name to show up, you don't want I'm going to say your question out loud, but if for whatever reason you don't want it associated with your name in the chat, you can send it to me privately. Okay. All right, so come on in. You are in the right place today if you feel like your period controls your life. You feel exhausted, housebound. You're always worried about leaking through, whether you're at work or you're only able to attend part of this. I see it says recording. Yes, you will get the replay. Absolutely. It'll get sent later on tonight. Okay. And maybe you've even got a period wardrobe and it's all black clothing. So you wear that when you're on your period so it hides the leaks. And if any of this is sounding familiar, you're in the right place. I get it. I've been there too. Whether it is planning your vacations around your period, dreading how your period is going to ruin your vacations, you don't feel like yourself anymore. Maybe you feel okay for a week or so or a month, but the rest of the time is just pure exhaustion. Can anyone relate to any of this? Drop a yes in the chat if this is resonating with you so far. And the reality is, it's not just your period. I hear this all the time. It's just my period. It's just a couple of days. It's just this short period of time and then it's all over. But it's not, right? And I know that you've likely been offered hormonal birth control, surgery, told that it's just normal. Let me know actually if your experience with your doctor sounds anything like this, like you've been brushed off, you're told that it's normal, you're given hormonal birth control, told to get a hysterectomy. Maybe it's common to hear and experience all of these things, but it's not okay. You're not in control right now. And I know how frustrating that is. The root problem is that you don't understand what's going on in your body. And to be in control, you need to understand what's happening. And that's what we're going to help you with today. Okay. How does that sound? Newly diagnosed endometriosis, very limited resources or direction on what I should do next. My periods were always normal. Just in the past 6 months, it has started to get way heavier. I have fibroids, but my periods are not painful or long. Well, that's a blessing, but fibroids are a sign, right? This is a red flag from your body that something is not working optimally, right? So maybe now they're not painful or long or heavy. Sounds like they're getting heavier over the past 6 months. But as the fibroids grow, if they continue to be left unaddressed, it will become more problematic down the line, right? So here's what you need to know today, okay? There are 3 things that you need to understand about your body, about your hormones, if you really want to gain control over your heavy periods. The first is that estrogen is not just one hormone. There are many forms of estrogen, and they each affect you differently. And this is really important because we talk about estrogen like it's a single hormone. We talk about estrogen dominance like there's only one way to be estrogen dominant, but there's multiple forms of estrogen, which means multiple ways that you can be estrogen dominant. Okay. The second thing that you need to know is that estrogen dominance can actually start in the gut. There are bacteria in your gut that can flip estrogen back into circulation, which causes those heavy periods. And then the third thing is iron deficiency, because in my experience working with women who have heavy periods, whether it's heavy periods just in and of themselves, or if they are from endometriosis, adenomyosis, or fibroids, what I see over and over again in these women is that they're iron deficient, they're anemic. And it makes sense, right? But the thing that we need to start understanding, and this is what we're going to dig into today, is that iron deficiency is both a cause and an effect of heavy periods. And so popping all of the iron supplementation, just going and getting your iron infusions, it's not going to fix it because it's actually a gut issue. And we're going to talk about that today. Okay. We're going to dig into all of these issues today. And we're also going to talk about some of the biggest supplement mistakes that women make and the protocol that I use with my clients to really help them break free of heavy periods, including those from endometriosis, adenomyosis, and fibroids. And I'm also going to share a little bit more towards the end about how you can get support and help if that is something that you're looking for. And if not, you're still going to walk away with so many insights, with so much information and education today. Okay. How is this all sounding so far? Does that sound good? Let me know in the chat. And I'll say, I totally get where you are right now. Could one of that bacteria you talk about be? Yes, it absolutely is. Strep is one of them. So on the GI map, this is the gut health test that I use in practice. There are half a dozen, 7, I think there's actually 8 different bacteria that influence the estrobolome and upregulate the enzyme called beta glucuronidase that sends estrogen back into circulation. And if all of that I just said kind of went whoosh, right over your head, don't stress, okay? All you need to know is there are bacteria that can be hanging out in your gut that are sending estrogen back into circulation, and yes, strep can be one of them, okay? So like I said, I've been in your shoes. I've had 10-day long periods. I have been exhausted. I have felt like a stranger in my body. I felt like I was living on autopilot, quite frankly. That's the best that I could do. I begged my doctor for help. All I got from her was a prescription for the pill. And I felt like no one was listening. And I know many of you have been there too. And after years of frustration, I left a successful corporate career to go back to school so I could study everything that I could about women's health and hormones. And I'm now certified as a women's menstrual health coach. I'm a passionate women's health advocate, and I have spent over the last 8 years now helping women just like you heal their bodies naturally. I've walked this path. I've worked with hundreds of women, and I can help you too. So for those of you who have sort of slowly been dropping in over the past couple of minutes, if you can open up the chat box, type your name in there, let me know where you are tuning in from. And also let me know if this is resonating with you so far. If you could just drop a yes into the chat and let me know if this is resonating. Okay. And I really want to dispel a misconception right out of the gate, because there's this idea that, we think it's actually normal to have heavy periods because we're so accustomed to it. I hear this all of the time. Well, it's heavy, but that I'm just used to it. That's just my normal. That's the way it is. That's a misconception. And I have to say, social media is really feeding into a lot of the myths and misconceptions that we have about what is normal and what isn't for our periods, for our hormones. So let's talk about what a heavy period actually looks like, because it is surprising to me how many women are walking around with insanely heavy periods and they have no clue because nobody has ever told them. And it's no wonder they're exhausted. It's no wonder that they feel housebound. It's no wonder that they feel like they live life around their hormones. So, what's a heavy period? You're changing a pad or a tampon more often than every 4 hours. You're changing a pad or a tampon every hour for 3 or more hours in a single day. You're changing a full menstrual cup 3 times or more in a single day. You need to double up on menstrual products. So you have a tampon and a backup pad, for example. That's what I had to do once upon a time in order to control your flow. You have to wake up at night to change your menstrual products. Your period is stopping you from being able to go about your day, or it's preventing you from participating in activities, either because you have to be by a bathroom, because you can't go more than 45 minutes or an hour without having to be on a toilet, or you're just flat out exhausted. You use more than 16 regular tampons or pads, or more than 8 super tampons or pads over the course of your period. You see blood clots larger than a quarter. You bleed longer than 7 days. Let me know in the chat. Are you nodding your head yes to any of these indications that I've just listed for you that your period is too heavy? I'm going to give you a minute. Type yes in the chat if this is resonating with you. If you're sitting there nodding your head, oh yeah, that is me. You are describing my period. Let me know. Just type yes in the chat. You are a quiet bunch today. There's a good group of you on here and you are just super duper quiet. So somebody type yes in the chat if you want to know how to stop struggling with these heavy periods. Thank you. The brave soul, Joanna, once again. Arlene, amazing. Okay, here's the thing. It is so much more than just a period, right? It's not just about your period. It's affecting everything, right? Your work, your relationships, your activities, your energy levels. You have symptoms like exhaustion, mood swings. You feel like you lack control over your emotions, right? You're missing work. You play small. You cancel vacations or other social activities. You feel like you can't keep up with your kids. You wish you had more energy to be that fun mom. You feel like you have zero control and you're powerless to do anything to change it. That is a really sinking feeling, isn't it? I've been there. And it doesn't end when your period ends either, because then you're playing catch up after the fact. And then it becomes this really vicious cycle, right? You're playing catch up after the fact. Maybe you have a week where you feel decent. Then the PMS symptoms start to hit and you're starting to dread the beginning of your period. Then your period hits, you're exhausted. And it's just this roller coaster and cycle that you go through. Does that make sense? Is that resonating? So here's what we're going to dive into, the 3 major root causes of heavy periods that we're going to talk about today. So the one thing is, or the first one is the estrogen types, because remember, you have more than one estrogen, and it's really important to understand how each of those affects your period. The second is gut health, because a compromised digestive system can lead to estrogen dominance. And the third is that iron deficiency paradox, right? And we're going to talk about how to restore iron levels and reduce that heaviness of your period without having to over rely on supplementation. Okay, so we're going to dive into this today. Are you with me? Are you ready to do this? Because if you're not, We may as well just close things off today. Type let's do this in the chat if you are ready to dive in, if you are ready to understand how to stop having these heavy periods. Amazing. Thank you, Lauren. Joanna, cool. All right. So let's talk about estrogen dominance and estrogen metabolism. So your body produces 3 different types of estrogen, okay? But typical blood tests only show one of those forms. Okay, so think about that for a second. Let that set in. You produce 3 main types of estrogen, but blood tests that your doctor might run only look at one. Already there's a problem, okay? Let's do a little bit of a deeper dive into this. Those 3 estrogens get broken down in the liver to make them easier to be eliminated from your body, because estrogen is a use it and lose it hormone. We want estrogen. We need estrogen. And then we want it gone. We want it to come in, do its thing, and then get the heck out, right? So the liver breaks those 3 estrogens down into 3 more types of estrogen. So now we're talking about 6 different types of estrogen. Okay, this is really critical to understand because there are a couple of forms of estrogen that are really problematic and can cause your periods to become heavy. And this is why medical approaches, trying to get answers from your doctor, doesn't work. Doctors typically don't test hormones. It's not considered standard of care. And even if they do, they'll run a blood lab, which is only looking at one type of estrogen. It's looking at estradiol, which frankly isn't typically the form of estrogen that's problematic. So that's why your doctor can come back and say to you, your labs are normal or fine, and to just take the pill. Has anybody had that experience? You go to your doctor, they run some labs, they tell you, well, everything looks normal, and they send you on your way, or they tell you to take birth control or some other medication. Has anybody had that experience? Type yes in the chat. Because here's the thing, medical treatments like the pill, like an IUD, even tranexamic acid, I'm sure at least a handful of you have been prescribed tranexamic acid for heavy periods. They just cover up the symptoms. They don't actually address the root cause of your heavy periods. And so many women often feel stuck because they aren't getting the right tests. They aren't getting answers. They aren't even being told about the forms of estrogen or how estrogen is broken down in the liver. They aren't getting the support that they need to ensure that their liver is breaking estrogen down properly. Is this making sense so far? I'd love to know what questions or thoughts or emotions are coming up for you right now. I always get really fired up when I talk about this. It makes me so angry that in 2024, women go to their doctor and are still being told, oh, it's normal, just take the pill. They're not running tests. They're not explaining how hormone steroid pathways work. They're not helping us to understand why we might be experiencing these issues. They're just brushing us off and sending us on our way with a prescription for a pill. So let me know what questions, thoughts, or emotions are coming up for you right now. Yes, push to use an IUD or have a hysterectomy, no labs done. Isn't that wild? I find that really wild because if you think about it, you know, someone who has a thyroid condition, even diabetes, right? Where, you know, if you are severely hypothyroid and you are taking desiccated thyroid or synthroid or whatever the case may be, your dosages are going to be monitored based on your blood labs to ensure that you're taking the correct dose. And yet doctors are so flippant and so quick to say, oh, just take the pill. You have heavy periods, just take the pill. Just get a hysterectomy, take the damn thing out. Doesn't that make you angry? It makes me so angry. Okay, if there are no questions, I was told let's put your fibroids on the back burner for now, even though they are quite sizable. This is another one that really lights me up and really pisses me off, because this is what women get told about their fibroids. Oh, they're small. They're not a problem. Let's just watch and wait. We're going to monitor. We'll wait and see. Like, wait and see for what? Until they get so big that now my periods are so painful and heavy, it's pressing up against my bladder, and now I'm having issues with urination. Maybe it's even pushing up on the bowel and causing difficulty with bowel movements. You've got this visible distension. Like, why are we waiting for it to get worse? It makes me so angry. Okay, I digress. If there are no questions about the liver and all of the forms of estrogen and how that all connects to estrogen dominance and heavy periods, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the connection between estrogen dominance, heavy periods, and the gut. Waiting would be fine if they actually took care of the problem. Yes, right. There's a difference between, well, we're just going to watch and wait. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens, and then we'll decide if we want to do something about it, which down the road, there's something they're going to do about it is a hysterectomy, because at that point, it's too big to do anything else with, right? It's different than, okay, we're going to give you this treatment. Here are your treatment options. Better yet, right? Here are your suite of treatment options. Here are the pros and cons of each of them. What do you feel comfortable doing? Let's start with that one, and let's see. Let's see over the next 1, 3, 6 months, whatever, and then we'll reassess. Different, right? Totally. Okay, let's talk about the gut, estrogen dominance, heavy periods, because I bet you're sitting there thinking, well, wait a minute. What does the gut have to do with my period? It sounds odd, right? But the connection is very real. And it's not something your doctor is likely talking about. Frankly, not enough practitioners are talking about this. It's this estrogen dominance situation being a key player in heavy periods. And your gut plays such a big role in estrogen dominance. And here's how. Your gut microbiome, this is the bacteria that lives in your digestive system. It includes a specific group called the estrobolome. And the estrobolome helps to regulate estrogen levels. So when the bacteria in your gut become imbalanced, there are certain strains of bacteria that cause estrogen to be reabsorbed into your body rather than being eliminated. And it's this recirculation of estrogen that can lead to estrogen dominance and contribute to those heavy, exhausting periods. Okay. Here's another way that your gut could be affecting your periods. Constipation. We're going to talk poop for a second. This is so important. We actually really need to normalize conversations about poop, about bowel movements, okay? Because it tells you so much about the health of your gut, your hormones. Frankly, all health begins in your gut. So if you are not looking at your poop, that is like your daily report card on your health. Okay. And if you aren't having regular, healthy bowel movements at least once a day, ideally twice, you are not eliminating estrogen effectively. And that's going to lead you towards estrogen dominance. And I'm going to say this because doctors will tell you, oh, if you're having 1 to 3 bowel movements a week, that's enough. Really, no. It's really not enough. At least once a day, ideally twice a day. A healthy bowel movement should be daily, long, soft but formed, and leave you feeling lighter. If you're struggling with heavy periods, you cannot ignore your gut health. Even if you don't have obvious digestive symptoms like bloating or constipation or gas, there are other signs that your gut needs attention. Things like anxiety, depression, cognitive issues like brain fog, skin issues like acne, eczema, dandruff, rosacea is a big one, autoimmunity, thyroid issues, mood swings, insomnia, chronic fatigue or exhaustion, joint pain or muscle pain, frequent infections like UTIs, urinary tract infections, bladder infections, yeast infections, bacterial vaginosis, regular headaches and migraines, food sensitivities, really difficult PMS, and then of course, iron deficiency or other nutrient deficiencies. If any of these are sounding familiar, your gut is a major factor here. And supporting your gut health is going to be so crucially important here. I'm curious, how many of you have had a doctor tell you that your digestive system could be playing a role in your heavy periods and hormonal imbalances? Let me know in the chat. What are the 6 estrogens and how do we test? So the Dutch test is a functional hormone test. That's how you can see all of your 6 estrogens. So estradiol, estriol, estrone are the 3 main ones. And the 3 metabolites, when they get broken down in your liver, 2-hydroxyestrone, 4-hydroxyestrone, 16-hydroxyestrone. There's also a 2-methoxy, but let's not overcomplicate things. So how many of you have had a doctor or another practitioner tell you that your gut is probably contributing to your health symptoms, your heavy periods, or other hormonal imbalances? Yes, no, let me know in the chat. Anybody? Never, right? Never, says Lauren. It's not standard of care. Not even naturopaths. That's surprising. But really, the truth is there are so many alternative practitioners, naturopaths, functional medicine doctors, even other nutritionists. They aren't peeling back the layers on their gut health either. It's so frustrating, right? Aren't you so frustrated by this? No, they wanted to remove the uterus, right? Just take it out. Forget trying to figure out why this problem exists. Let's just take it out. Have they told you what's going to happen if you do take out your uterus? I bet you they haven't. Nope. Yeah, exactly. Okay, what questions do you have about the gut? The gut, estrogen dominance, heavy periods, that whole connection. What questions do you have? It's just wild to me that this is something that I have been talking about for years. And it really just, it makes me so angry that I mean, I've sort of resigned myself to the fact that medical doctors just are probably not going to come around to any of this anytime soon. Fine. But other alternative health practitioners should be talking about these things. Would candida play in as a factor with hormones? Yes. So this is a really good question because candida feeds estrogen and estrogen feeds candida. So if you have candida, you've got to actually target the candida, not the hormones. Most of the time, actually, the work that I do with my clients, we're not targeting hormones. We're targeting what's happening in the body, things like candida, right? Like those bacteria that are recirculating estrogen. That's what we're doing. We're not going after the hormones and saying, oh, well, let's just give you some Vitex and boost your progesterone. It doesn't work. Okay. Hi, with the Dutch test, how do you know if the levels are normal considering they fluctuate? So you work with a skilled practitioner who can help you identify the best time to test to know the ranges to be looking at during that particular time of your cycle. I have high candida, but even higher strep. So this is very helpful. So I would also be looking at H. pylori, because those 3 happen very commonly together. And there's a very specific way that you have to target those in the gut. Otherwise, you're going to be going down this endless cycle of, I'm trying to kill the candida. I'm trying to kill the candida, but I can't get rid of the candida. Now I'm trying to kill the bacteria, but I can't. There's a very specific way that you have to address that in the gut. Okay. What if I gained 30 pounds and lost hope? Yeast infection, skin issues, being insulin resistant, will taking GLP-1 destroy my gut completely? Will it destroy your gut completely? It might not. But here's the thing about GLP-1. So things like Ozempic, right? I'm not a proponent of Ozempic. There is research that shows it can be really, it was designed for people with diabetes. That's what it was designed for, people with diabetes and severely obese. And for those people, it can be helpful. For other people, what happens is Ozempic is going to break down your musculature. You will not have muscle, which is really problematic because muscle is your longevity. Not just longevity, that's your health span. That is going to support your hormones. That is going to support your musculoskeletal system. Okay, there are a lot of issues with taking Ozempic. It should really be your last resort. And if you are insulin resistant, there are better ways to support insulin sensitivity than jumping right to a GLP-1 like Ozempic. Does that make sense? Weight gain, by the way, also very much related to the gut, as well as the insulin resistance, nervous system dysregulation, lots of other things. Does that make sense? Does that help? Does that answer the question? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about, you're welcome. Let's talk about the iron deficiency paradox. This is such a big one. And I'd love it if you could type iron in the chat if you are anemic or iron deficient. I'm curious because, like I said earlier, most women that I talk to and work with who have heavy periods are also iron deficient. So just type iron, iron deficiency, anemia, whatever works for you. A lot of you. Okay. Iron deficiencies. Okay. Food sensitivities is why I was high. I can't remember. My hormone doctor did give me Ozempic years ago and never took it. I'm very low on iron, very iron. Okay. So lots of you are, yeah, right. I see this all of the time. Heavy periods, iron deficiency kind of makes sense, right? You're probably exhausted. You're struggling to get out of bed, barely making it through the day. You feel like you're failing at life. Or was that just me? You've been told that you have enough iron in your blood, but not in your cells. That's an absorption problem. And that's the gut. That's the gut. We're going to get into that. Okay. Do you also feel like you're too tired? You're too tired to socialize, to have time with your family, to exercise? I've had women who have turned down promotions, even contracts, because they feel like they can't keep up. This is not what I want for you. Most of these women are supplementing with iron, whether it is Ferromax from their doctor, that's what most doctors will prescribe, Ferromax, or they're taking an iron supplement for the health foods from the health food store, or they're taking organ meat capsules, or they're going for regular iron infusions. And yet they find themselves stuck in this vicious cycle. They build up their iron levels during the month, maybe a tiny little bit, only to have their period depleted all over again. And it makes sense because heavy periods can cause iron deficiency due to the blood loss, right? But here's the paradox. Iron deficiency can also be the cause of heavy periods. It's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. So many women think that increasing their iron intake will solve the problem. But even with high doses of supplements, blood tests still show low levels. Why? The real problem is your gut. The issue isn't just about taking more iron. It's about being able to absorb it. And that comes down to the health of your gut. Here's what's probably happening. There's probably bacteria and or parasites, overgrowths in the gut. Things like parasites, H. pylori is another one. I see these commonly in women who have heavy periods and are iron deficient. These critters love iron. They use it to grow. So they're in there gobbling it up. They're getting stronger. They're establishing their presence. They're leaving very little left for you in your body. There could be leaky gut. If you have a compromised gut lining, leaky gut, your body can't absorb iron properly. So it seems logical that you should just fix the gut lining or clear out the overgrowth then. But remember, there's a specific order how that has to be done. So jumping into supplements without addressing the root cause means you're just walking around the problem. It's not only frustrating, but it's also a waste of time and energy and money. Is this making sense? Has anyone ever explained iron deficiency in this way to you before? How important is ferritin? Well, ferritin is your storage form of iron, so it is important, but it's not the be all and end all. You would want to have a full iron panel run to really understand how well you are absorbing iron, not just storing it, right? Iron and ferritin deficiency, SIBO, gut dysbiosis, endometriosis, 7-day heavy periods, holding on to 20 pounds that won't budge. Yes. Nobody's explained this to you before like this. Okay. So, Joanna, everything that you're saying here, the iron deficiency, ferritin deficiency, SIBO, dysbiosis, endometriosis, the 17-day long periods, the holding on to 20 pounds, your gut needs love. Your gut needs some TLC. Okay. And again, your doctor's not looking for these answers, right? And as we've talked about, so many alternative practitioners aren't either. They're just telling you to take an iron supplement and eat an iron-rich diet. How's that working out? How's that working out for you? Probably not so well. To finally break free of this iron deficiency heavy period cycle, we have to hone in on the gut. We have to support digestive health and function. We've got to get rid of the critters that are hanging out in there that are gobbling up all of that iron, that are causing you to have food sensitivities, that are causing you to have SIBO and dysbiosis, that are causing inflammation and this overreaction in your immune system that is contributing to the endometriosis. Right? We've got to heal the leaky gut. We've got to even potentially consider running some functional testing so you can have the actual data that shows you what's going on in there. And by functional testing, I don't mean with your doctor. They aren't using the right tests, unfortunately. You need a strategic multi-phase approach to heal your gut and address the root causes of your iron deficiency and heavy periods. Is this making sense? No one has connected these dots for me. Thank you for educating us. You are more than welcome. That is my mission in life, and my passion is to bring this information and to really change your life, because I've been where you are, and it is not the life that I wanted, and it's probably not the life that you want for yourself either. You deserve better. Is all of this making sense? Type a yes, type a no. If you have questions, pop those into the chat, and then we'll move along. I also just need to take a sip of tea. Okay, it's making sense. Okay, great. Thank you, Lauren. To me, it is incredibly frustrating to think that we were never taught any of this. We were never taught about these connections within our health, within our body, our hormones, our periods. But now you know. And now you can approach your heavy periods, your health in a new way. So let's do a little recap here. We've talked about how important it is to support your liver, because you make more than one type of estrogen. And it's those little breakdown estrogens that your liver is making, that your doctor is not testing for, that can be the major players in causing your heavy periods. We've explored how the gut can create estrogen dominance by recirculating estrogen, causing heavy periods. And we talked about the iron deficiency paradox, that iron deficiency is both an effect and a cause of heavy periods. And the answers to resolving anemia don't come from supplementing. They come from healing the gut. So you may be wondering, okay, great, what's next? What do I do? What do I do to fix all of this? Are you wondering that at this point? I would be if I were you. So here's option number one. You take all of this information, you leave today, you go figure it out on your own. You could keep trying to manage your heavy periods and exhaustion with more iron supplements, with supplements that balance your hormones. You could do more trial and error approaches that just kind of scratch the surface. But frankly, in my opinion, you deserve so much better than that. You deserve a solution, a step-by-step blueprint that gets to the root cause. And that's option 2. That is exactly what we focus on inside the Hormone Healing Hub. It's a space where women just like you take back control of their health, learn to listen to their bodies, and heal from the inside out without relying on medications that just mask their symptoms or supplements that are totally missing the mark. In the Hormone Healing Hub, you'll get a step-by-step plan to uncover the root causes of hormonal imbalances that are causing your heavy periods. Have access to tools and resources and support to know exactly what to do so you're not playing trial and error. You'll work through a proven step-by-step plan to address your gut health, inflammation, blood sugar and insulin sensitivity, liver function, and so much more, targeting the root causes of your hormone struggles. You'll receive guidance and education every step of the way from a supportive community and expert resources. You'll get preferred pricing and access to comprehensive functional testing like the GI map and the Dutch tests, so you can finally see what's happening beneath the surface. You'll receive guidance and education every step of the way from a supportive community of peers and yours truly. This isn't a quick fix. We've got to get out of this mindset of, oh, I'll just take a pill and it'll make it all better. This is a journey to real and lasting health so that you can wake up feeling energized, feeling confident in your body again, and finally breaking free from the exhaustion, the pain, the heaviness that's holding you back. The Hormone Healing Hub gives you the tools, the knowledge, and support to transform your health for good. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and stop living life around the whims of your hormones and have the freedom to live life on your terms, I'd love for you to join me inside the Hormone Healing Hub. And together we'll get to the root of your symptoms and create a clear path towards better health, more energy, and a life without the heavy periods. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link to the hub into the chat right now. And if one of you, Joanna, I'm just gonna, you've been my brave soul all afternoon. If you could just click on that link, or anyone else, just click on that link, open it up, let me know. It looks like it's clickable. So you should just be able to click on it and it'll open up into another tab. Otherwise, you can just copy and paste that into your browser. But if you can just let me know that the link is working, just type yes, let me know that it's working. That would be fantastic. So that you can go ahead in there, go and take a look. Got it, thanks. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Joanne. I knew I could rely on you. So you can go ahead into that link. You can look at all of the information that is there for you now, even after the class today. The best part is the membership is only $77 a month Canadian, which is about 56 US dollars a month. That's less than the cost of a night out or a handful of supplements that might or probably won't help. You can have access to expert guidance, a step-by-step blueprint, support, tools and resources, community, and so much more, all dedicated to lasting root cause natural healing. It's an incredible value for everything that you receive and the life that awaits you on the other side. It's an investment in yourself and your health that frankly anyone can make. But here's the thing. I am going to be increasing the pricing to 97 Canadian dollars per month soon, which is about $70 US. So if you've been sitting on the fence or you've been telling yourself you'll figure it out later, now is the time to take action. Your health is worth it. You are worth it. Okay. All right. I hope that this has been an eye-opening experience for you. I hope that you have a clear understanding of how your body works, especially when it comes to those heavy periods, hormonal imbalances in general, and how things like our gut, our estrogen metabolism, and iron deficiency all play a really key role. I've given you a lot to think about. We've talked about a lot today in a very short period of time, but don't feel overwhelmed. You don't have to do this alone. It's exactly why I created the Hormone Healing Hub, to give you that step by step plan, that guidance, that support that you need to start feeling better so you can get your energy back and regain control over your health. If you're ready to take control of your health and your hormones and have my support along the way, I'd love to see you inside the hub. I would love to support you. Let's not wait for another month of frustration. Can't wait to see you on the inside and help you start feeling like yourself again. Okay, I'm going to open up the floor for any questions that you have, whether it's about what we've covered today, the membership, or anything else that's on your mind. I'm here to help. So you can go ahead and drop some questions into the chat. I see a few of them are already there. What if we want more in-depth testing? How much more would this be? So in the hub, you would actually save on my testing packages. And just as a little sneak peek, I suppose you could say, I'm going to be giving $400 off my testing packages to my Hormone Healing Club ladies this week. So if you're wanting to save on testing, that's an extra $400. Usually it's $200. It's $400 off this week for my ladies in the Hormone Healing Hub. How much of the hub is about taking supplements? It's not. Short answer is it's not about taking supplements. That is not the focal point in this membership. The focal point is teaching you how to support your body, how to support your gut, how to heal your gut, how to support your gut health and function, how to support your nervous system and your adrenals, how to support insulin sensitivity, because all of these things are important. It is not about just go take these 5 supplements and let me know how it goes. That's not working for you right now. So why would I continue to do that? It's not about taking supplements. It's a really good question. Amazing. I'll look forward to seeing you in there, Joanna. How much is your approach based on taking shakes of protein? Not really, you don't have to take shakes. There are guidelines, or I don't like the word guidelines actually so much. There are suggestions perhaps around protein intake. How you achieve that goal ultimately is up to you. If you're not into shakes, don't do shakes. Eat foods that contain protein. Animal protein is best. So you absolutely don't have to do shakes. I have done both Dutch test and GI. I've done both Dutch test and GI map, and I would highly recommend. They tell you so much about your body. Oh my God, do they ever. You're absolutely right, Lauren. I am a big proponent of testing, not guessing. That is my motto. Because I have wasted like 2 years of my life before I ever bothered to test. I wasted 2 years of my life going down that route of trial and error. All right, well, let me just try this supplement. Let me try this protocol. Let me go and try this thing that I read about. 2 years. That's a long freaking time. Whereas if I had just tested, I could have had results within a matter of months, right? How detailed is the nutritional part of it? Well, I'm a nutritionist, so it's pretty darn detailed. We get into the nitty gritty. Love that. Thanks. You are so welcome. Which is best, gut or Dutch? This is a really, really excellent question. It is also really difficult to answer because truthfully, the two of them run together are going to give you so much synergistic data. It also depends on what your goals are, what your budget is, what it is that you're looking to get answers for. I would argue that everybody needs to do a GI map. And I've actually changed in my practice the focus for testing. I used to only do Dutch testing, and then I brought in gut testing, the GI map. And I've actually switched over the last year or so. I've started doing the GI map first and then followed it up with a Dutch, because everything starts in the gut. All health starts in the gut. So I firmly believe that everybody should get a GI map. Now, should everybody also get a Dutch? Personally, yes. I think so. If you're struggling with a lot of estrogen dominant type symptoms like the heavy periods, PMS, painful periods, breast pain or tenderness, if you have a family history of breast cancer, for example, or any estrogen dominant type cancer, which I do. So I do a Dutch test on myself about annually. I don't do it because I'm looking for answers for symptoms. I don't have heavy, long, painful periods anymore. That's not why I run the Dutch. I run the Dutch because I have a family history of breast cancer and I am watching one of my metabolites to make sure that it stays below the range that is acceptable. So I know that probably isn't the answer that you were looking for. I don't know your name because it's just showing as iPhone on the screen, but that's sort of the long and the short of it. Which test is best, gut or Dutch? I've done the testing, but all that was discovered is gut dysbiosis. And was that addressed? Because gut dysbiosis is massive, massive. How long do we need the membership usually to see results? Trying to figure out the budget needed. Minimum 3 months. Because here's the thing, hormones, remember what I said earlier, we need to really switch our mindset away from just take a pill for every ill. Take a pill, it cures your problem. Get something from Amazon Prime, it's delivered on your doorstep an hour later. Hit the button for skip the dishes and you don't have to cook dinner. It's just going to arrive on your door an hour later. Like we've been conditioned to think everything's going to happen overnight or within an hour. Hormones don't work that way. Our health doesn't work that way. Insulin sensitivity doesn't work that way. Hormones themselves, minimum a season, 3 to 4 months. When we're talking about the gut, 6 to 12 months. And I say this not to discourage you, but to create realistic expectations around how long it's going to take and the efforts that are required of you along the way. Remember, I said I wasted 2 years? 2 years of trial and error, trying all of the things that didn't work. That was 2 years that I lost. 3 to 4 months is a drop in the bucket in comparison. Same with 6 to 12 months. That's nothing, right? Lauren says, I agree. GI Map's so good for everyone, 100%. If only every doctor was like you, you are awesome. Oh, thank you. Is there a discount offer to do both tests? How are the tests done? Stool, blood, hair. So in the Hormone Healing Hub, like I said, tomorrow, my ladies in the hub don't even know this yet. So you're getting the pre-sneak peek. They're getting a $400 discount with the testing. So there will be a discount code that is provided to the women who are in the Hormone Healing Hub. So the gut health, the GI map test, the gut test, that's a stool test. So it's a poop test, right? And then the Dutch test is a urine test. You do both of them at home. I give you complete, if this is something that you opt to upgrade to, I give you complete instructions and guidance around how to do them. And you do everything at home. You have prepaid, pre-labeled envelopes to send them back to each of the respective labs. So it's very private. You don't have to go into a lab. You don't have to go anywhere. It can all just be done at home. And bing, bang, boom, away you go. Melissa, 3 months is very reasonable considering it takes 3 months to see results after a habit. Yeah, right? We've been so conditioned. I'm so grateful for you for saying that, Melissa, because we have been so conditioned to expect that, we don't have to put in any work, that all we have to do is press a button or swallow a pill or, have some kind of surgery and bang, everything is fixed, right? Like everything is instant gratification. But our hormones, our health doesn't work that way. right? And especially when you consider the amount of time that it took to get to this place that you're in, right? The 20 pounds didn't come on overnight. The insulin resistance didn't happen overnight. The endometriosis didn't happen overnight. The heavy periods didn't happen all at once. It's been this gradual accumulation over time, months, years, maybe even decades. Is it really reasonable to expect that a day, a week, a month later, everything's going to be better? I'm really grateful that you said that, Melissa. Thank you. Arlene, and you get mail-ins of pee and poop from the US. I think what you're asking is, I'm actually not really too sure what you're asking. So let me just sort of say a few things about that. The tests are sent really anywhere around the world. I only work with women in Canada and the US. So if you're outside of North America, unfortunately, I can't run the tests for you. If you're in Canada or the US, then absolutely we can run those tests. The tests, the kits, they get sent wherever it is that you live. They don't come back to me. I don't deal with your pee. I don't deal with your poop. It goes to the lab, and the lab processes your samples. Oh, the time factor. So it depends. It depends on how busy the lab is at any given time. So usually 2 to 3 weeks to process your sample, and then I get the results. So I get the report, right? Um, the amount of time from the time that I order the test for you to the time that it lands on your door, 1 to 3 business days typically. And then for you to send it back to the lab, again, it comes with a prepaid, pre-addressed return envelope. So there's 2 different couriers that are used. Again, 1 to 3 days typically for it to get sent back. So the results don't change as time passes. That's what I meant. Well, that's a good question. Are they going to change? Yeah, everything's going to change from one day to the next. You're a different person, right? Every 120 days, our red blood cells turn over completely, right? So is it going to change appreciably in the sense that, if you took the test and you had parasites and candida and H. pylori and all of the dysbiosis, and then, 3 weeks later, when I get the results, all of that is gone? No, it's not going to be that drastic of a change. Does that make sense? Okay, good. All right. Any other questions? There's still quite a handful of you on. Are there any other questions before we end things for today? If not, we will call it a beautiful day. You will get a replay. By the way, I should say this, I usually do. If you are the person who you're frantically typing in a question and you're backspacing and you're backspacing and you can't get your question right and you're scrambling trying to figure it out, or you're the person who is just like, you hit me with so much information, I need to like percolate on this. I need to let my brain really sink in and figure out all of the things you just said to me. And then I'm going to have questions. I am totally that person. I will be in a class, a lecture, a webinar, a what have you. I'm typically not that in the moment question person. I'm the after the fact. Once all of the information has sunk in, then I'm like, what about this? What about that? How does this work? So if you're that person, don't sweat it. Shoot me an email, reach out to me on Instagram. Actually, it's better to reach me on Instagram. Let me pop my stephanie.sing.balancedhealth. So I just popped my Instagram handle in there for you. It'd be better actually to reach me that way because I can send voice notes back. I can't do voice notes on email, and it's often it's easier to voice it out than it is to try and type it out. No worries, Arlene. If I'm on progesterone, would I be able to stay on it if I'm testing? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Presumably, let me actually qualify. I'm assuming this is bioidentical progesterone, not synthetic progestin. So it's bioidentical. Okay. Then yes, absolutely. You absolutely can. Because here's the thing about bioidentical hormones. I'm very pro bioidentical hormones. I absolutely am. I think so many women would benefit from bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. The problem that I'm starting to see with bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, BHRT, is it is starting to become the quick fix, right? So instead of taking a supplement, we're now just taking progesterone. And there are so many women that will reach out to me and say, well, I'm taking bioidentical progesterone, but it's not helping. I still have, fill in the blank, heavy periods, painful periods, endometriosis symptoms, PMS, mood swings, anxiety, I can't sleep, whatever. Because none of the fundamentals have been taught or been implemented. It isn't a quick fix. It is helpful. It is a very supportive replacement, especially moving through perimenopause, especially later phases of perimenopause when our hormones are really starting to come offline, especially progesterone, and into and through menopause. But it's not a quick fix, and there's so many practitioners who are using it that way, and it's sad. It's so sad because they're feeding into this mindset of, well, I'll just give them a pill. I'll just give them a pill. I'll give them a cream. I'll give them the thing that they want, and they'll go away. That's what doctors do. I'll just give them a pill and make them go away. Does that make sense? So I just to reiterate, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, I'm very pro, while you're also supporting all of the foundations, your digestive health, your insulin sensitivity, your detoxification function, your nervous system. Okay? All right. You're welcome. Okay. If there aren't any other questions, we will end it there today. And we will, like I said, you can reach out to me if you have questions. Reach out to me on Instagram so I can send you voice notes back. You can send me an email if that's what you would prefer. That's totally fine too. I will not ignore you. And we'll go from there. I have the replay will be sent out later tonight. So if there's anything that you wanted to go back and watch again, you absolutely can do that. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate the attention that you gave to yourself. I appreciate the time that you spent and set aside for yourself today to be here with me. I really appreciate all of you who participated in the chat, who asked questions. They were really great kick-ass questions. So thank you. Thank you all so much. And I will look forward to hearing from you, potentially working with you in the hub. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you again soon. You're so welcome. Take care. Bye, everybody.